It's time for another edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined by the head coach, Marcus Freeman. Coach, I know it was a disappointing loss on Saturday. You didn't get the outcome you were hoping for. Now that you have a chance to kind of look back at it, what was the biggest factor in the outcome on Saturday night?
I think we got to come out of the locker room, we got to start faster. We can't receive the ball and then give Stanford 7 points to start the game. And, we got to try to develop some momentum early offensively. And I thought the defense did a good job of really buckling down and preventing them from scoring much to the very last minute of the second quarter. But we got to offensively capitalize off of the opportunities that we have. And we got to do a better job of executing. And so those are things we'll attack this week in practice.
You guys are facing some adversity now. You're at the midway point of the season. What's the biggest key for you as the head coach to make sure this team finishes the second half the right way?
Well, it got to start with a belief and understanding that we're a good football team, and our team has showed that in the wins that we had over North Carolina, BYU, and even the win over Cal was a big win for our program. And so what we have to do is go back and really look at why we haven't had some of the success that we want on a consistent basis and really attack it in practice and work on it and find ways to make sure that we perform that way on Saturday.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside and come back. When we do, we'll break down the game against Stanford on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's game breakdown. Let's break down the game against Stanford. Coach, you mentioned it in our first segment there. Didn't get off to the hottest start. You go 3-and-out, and then they come down and score on the first drive. But your defense after that did play really well, didn't allow a touchdown. I'm curious from your vantage point on that first series where they scored against you, what did you guys learn about the Stanford offense?
Well, I think that, we knew the quarterback was a talented player. We knew they had a good scheme. I think defensively we're a little bit cautious, trying to figure out exactly what they were going to do. And each offense you face is going to have a different set of opening plays to start a game. And so we were a little bit soft in terms of how we were playing. And then we missed too many tackles on that first drive and tackles that we have to make and, ultimately led to a touchdown. But they did a good job fixing it on the sidelines.
Somebody who had a really good game, I thought, for you was J.D. Bertrand, linebacker, who's been a really consistent force the last couple of years. Just what has he meant to this program, and what did you see from him in this game that allowed him to stand out?
Yeah, it's good to have him back for entirety of a game, and JD is a guy that just the work ethic he puts into his performance is tremendous. He sets the standard for how to prepare for a game, and what you see on Saturdays is a reflection of the way he prepares. And he's a physical, intelligent football player. He's really smart. He's got great talent, great ability, and he's a really good performer for us.
I want to ask you about some of those scoring drives. The first one, it seemed like you went back to that identity and kind of that culture you talked about a week ago in the locker room. The running game was really effective. Logan Diggs jump-started you with the big run out to midfield. Those three running backs, Diggs, Tyree, and Estime, looked sharp at times in the second half, but maybe didn't get the touches we've seen in previous weeks. How do you get them more involved even going forward?
Yeah, I think it starts from the total play count. I think Stanford did a good job of controlling the possession. We didn't have as many plays as we've had the week before. And you know what? We weren't, the explosive gains in our run game weren't like they were in the previous weeks. And so we had to do some different things in terms of the pass game. But those are three guys that are all still playing at a high level. We have to continue to find ways to get the ball in their hands, be creative in how we do it. And our offense, we're going to be led by what we do with those three backs and our offensive line in the run game. And that will open up everything. So we got to do a better job of that.
Your defense, I thought, did a great job keeping you in this game as long as they did in the second half. Those plays, and just in particular their performance in the second half, what did you like from them?
The ability for C. to kind of push that guy jumping for the ball out of bounds on third down to force him to punt. And then the next series when they try to go for it on 4th and 1, those 4th and 1, 4th and 2 situations are so critical. And our defense made a great stand of preventing them from getting the first down.
The go-ahead touchdown, I think a memorable one, Tobias Merriweather, a player that fans are really excited about. He was missed on a play earlier, but gets some redemption on the first play of the fourth quarter. Talk me through the play and what was so successful, but then also what excites you about Tobias in his career here.
Yeah, Tobias is going to be a great player for us. He's continuing to gain the confidence in our coaches that he has to gain for us to play him more and more. And so that play, his touchdown play, we had just missed him earlier on the corner route, and this was the end of the third quarter, and I remember hearing Coach Reese over the headset saying, hey, if they give us a look we're looking for, we're going over top to Tobias, and they gave us exactly what we were looking for. Drew did a great job of putting the ball where it to be, and it was a great route by Tobias and a great finish.
So you had the lead at that point. We could probably do woulda, coulda, shoulda all season long. Every team could, but there was an interesting drive where looked like Tanner McKee maybe fumbled, ball came out. They ruled that his knee was down, so the fumble comes off the board. Then a little bit later, I thought a big play too was on 3rd and 12. They picked up 11 yards to give themselves a better field goal look. Just on that drive in particular, what stuck out when they ultimately retook the lead?
Yeah, I mean, we were close on a lot of those forced fumbles. The ball was out multiple times. We just weren't able to get the ball back in our possession. And I know they called him down on the one forced fumble by JD. And you know, I think ultimately they had converted a 3rd and long earlier in the game, and you know, it was one of those situations, hey, is he going to try, their offensive coordinator going to try to throw this thing for a first down completion, or they're just going to try to stay in field goal range? They were already in field goal range, and so they ended up just taking, you know, the check down and the check down or run just to get in closer field goal range, and they ended up making the field goal.
Let's just talk about the last drive. You know, no timeouts, tough to go down the length of the field. You needed just a field goal, but still, just from a 2-minute drill perspective, what was the area you guys came up short on that drive, and what have you maybe been coaching, or what do you plan on coaching to make sure that they can execute a little bit better going forward in that situation the rest of the year?
Yeah, we got to protect our quarterback, you know, and we can't take sacks, and we have to make sure our quarterback has time in those 2-minute situations to really, you know, put the ball where it needs to be. And so that's difficult on the O-line when there's no threat of running the ball usually in a 2-minute situation. We did a good job getting the ball to Mayer out of bounds and getting the ball to Diggs. You know, and didn't convert on the 3rd down to Mayer, and the 4th down we weren't able to convert. And so there's a lot of different pieces that it's going to take correcting to make sure we convert in that situation. But, you know, when you play good teams, it's going to come down to a 2-minute situation, and we take pride in feeling like we can execute. We got to do a better job of doing it.
I'm just curious. I imagine it's a tough locker room after a game like that. As the head coach, what was your message, and what's the most important thing for you in the moments immediately following a loss like that?
You know, it's a little bit different than the message after the Marshall game. You know, Marshall was about staying together. Marshall was about this thing will get turned around. You know, Saturday night was a little bit disappointment because I didn't feel like we played the standard of Notre Dame football that should be played. We didn't execute in the way we should have, and I thought we had a good week of practice. And so I was disappointed and challenged them that we have to be better, and we all got to take a deep look at ourselves and figure out how we're going to improve. You know, we have a strong culture in our room. We got a strong group of leaders that are going to continue to keep this team together. And they love each other, support each other, but we have to be better. The expectations are to be better, and the players want to be better, and so we got to find a way to get it fixed.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside and come back with more on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Access.
Looking towards Mayer, lofts one up into the air, and Michael Mayer brings in the touchdown.
Excellent route, ball placement cannot be better. Drew Pine's having fun playing football.
Protected very well. He's going to scramble, try to get to that line again, and he's able to cross it. What a play by Drew Pine. Cut it back up inside and move the chains.
It's just hard not to use the word moxie.
Little Patrick Mahomes magic for Pine.
And when Drew Pine starts making plays like that, Notre Dame's going to be hard to slow down.
That's what Drew Pine does, and it's that simple.
I think the biggest impact on me serving others is my mom. She made sure that from the get-go we were involved in service work. So as an Eagle Scout, I helped lead a group in planning a book drive and summer lunch packing. As president of Uplifting Athletes, I've helped continue our Uplifting Experience bowling event, where we bring out a bunch of guys on our team and get rare disease patients and from around our community, and just kind of create an opportunity for us to be able to bowl together and hang out. And seeing the smile on these kids' faces is one of the coolest things. Outside of that, we've also done our annual Lift for Life, where we as the Notre Dame football team raise money for this nonprofit to help fund the research towards these rare diseases. Just be able to have that connection from why we're raising the money and who we do it for. Obviously, I don't do it for the recognition, but It's awesome to be able to represent Notre Dame, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to be a part of the team, and it really is an honor.
Community service is such an important part of not only Notre Dame, but my family as well. Growing up, always being taught how to be a servant leader and help others around you.
Don't take your ability to do something like this for granted.
And so to be able to come out and help the community, help the people that need support, need hope, and get the guys on the team to rally around that cause is really something special.
Don't take it for granted. Just every day, come and do your best.
To put a smile on someone's face is probably the best feeling in the world. And so for me to come out and just take some time out of my day to help someone else who's going through something that I have no idea what it's like, it means so much. I don't know what they're going through, and I don't know what their day-to-day life is. But for one moment, I can sit there and help them and get a smile on their face, and that's what it's all about, is being there to support them and help them through their journey. And it means the world when you see them smile and have fun, and that's the reason why you do it.
So Audric, I know you guys didn't get the result you wanted against Stanford, but you now have 6 games left in the season. I'm just curious, from your standpoint, now you guys have had a couple days to process the game. What's the team's mindset going forward to the rest of the season?
Our team's mindset is just kind of, you got to take a week as it is, like go 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time. And that was in the past now, so now it's time to focus on UNLV. And we're just trying to find out ways to make us better as a team so we can have a good stretch with and finish out these 6 games strong.
What's the biggest key then for you, as a running back, a guy that's involved in the offense a lot, to get this team going in the right direction?
I just want to keep on applying energy, keep on applying some type of juice to the teammates so they can keep on going, everyone can keep their head up. And I just want to focus on doing my job, because I feel like everyone does their 111, does their job. That'll just make things start to roll.
I got to be honest, I think I'm not alone when I say this, that you're one of my favorite players to watch on the field. Your running style, so unique, so powerful, explosive. Try to explain to me and Notre Dame fans, just what's your mindset when you get the ball and you get a chance to run it?
My mindset first is I gotta have the correct reads. I gotta do my footwork first. I gotta be very detailed. And once I do all that, I just gotta do me. I gotta be a physical back. And when I'm in space one-on-one with a defender, I gotta be able to make him miss and just make something happen.
In your short amount of time here at Notre Dame, I feel like you've already developed a lot as a player, but I'm curious, just as you project your career going forward here and maybe at the next level, what are the areas of your game that you're focused on improving and taking up a notch?
Honestly, all areas of my game, honestly, especially if I want to make it to the next level and be a pro, I gotta work on all areas of my game. But I feel like one thing really I gotten better from last year, this year, is pass protection and running routes. So I feel like I want to keep on improving my game so I can have all my game at the highest level.
I want to ask you some questions about off the field. Notre Dame, of course, is a university first. When you were making the decision to come to Notre Dame, what went into the decision? What were the factors you were weighing when you decided to come play football here, but also be a student?
Oh yeah, Notre Dame's the put football to the side. Notre Dame is one of the best schools in the country. You have the alumni faculty. That's one of the best in America. You have alumni everywhere. Like, I'm from New York, and you have huge alumni in New York. And also the academic side, you have the best of both worlds. You have Notre Dame football and the Notre Dame academics, and I just feel like Notre Dame is a school that will put me in position to be most successful in life.
In your time on campus then, when you think about the stuff away from the field, what's something that's had a real impact on you at Notre Dame?
I feel just the people here. The people are just loving people, open-hearted people, and you have all different types of people from everywhere, and they're just open arms to you, loving, and they always just want to be friends with you, and they want to give you ways to get better in an academic role and to socialize. So I just feel like the people at Notre Dame are just special and like no other.
The last thing I have for you is, of course, we're taking it one game at a time. As you said, you got UNLV coming up. What's the biggest key then for you guys going into this next week?
I feel just be focused, do our details, just don't play down on the other team, just focus on our job and do what we can do, control, and just execute. That's a really key thing what Coach Freeman been emphasizing is execute, and that's what we just need to do.
Audric, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we'll go inside the play with Irish Intel, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Intel. Coach, I want to talk through this play here. This is, I thought, a really cool play design. Picks up a first down in the first quarter. Lorenzo Styles is going to go in motion and get open. Just talk me through everything that's going on this play.
Yeah, I mean, this was really set up on previous weeks, and what you see is in some short yardage situations, we're able to give Lorenzo Styles that ball on a jet sweep, put him in motion, but we know they're in man coverage here, and it's very similar to the play that BYU ran against us last week, where on the goal line they did something similar. They saw us run, Tariq Bracy running with them, and threw the ball to him, and they scored a touchdown. So it's anytime you see a team running with you in jet motion and man coverage, then you can run this play and try to get a free one.
Let me just ask you, when you see him running, that's the indication that they are in man. And do you have an option if he doesn't come with him, that they're in zone, to check to something else mid-motion, or how does that all work?
Yeah, you'll probably hand the ball off.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a true RPO here.
Okay.
We're reading it, and if they're in zone coverage, we're probably going to hand the ball off.
Okay. So, Coach, this is a play that gives you the lead in the second half. Tobias Merriweather makes his first catch and a touchdown at that. Just tell me what goes on that gets him open and ultimately leads to the touchdown.
Yeah, we had seen in the high red area, right when you cross the 50, that they've been a quarter zero coverage type defense. So we were in the huddle after the third quarter just talking about if they give us this coverage, we're going to try to go over top on Tobias. And he does a great job of pressing the defensive back with speed and running faking almost a corner route there and then slicing right across his face. And Drew just put the ball in a position where Tobias can go get it. So it was great to see him make that play.
So, Coach, this is midway through the fourth quarter. Thought this was a really important fourth down at the time. You're able to pick up the first down to extend the drive. Logan Diggs just puts his head down and gets it done. But tell me how it happens.
Well, as you see earlier in the game, we had another 4th and 2 situation where they had shown to stack the box, and we wanted to go on the edge. They did a good job of defending it. So this 4th and 2, we said, no, we're going to run the ball no matter if they stack the box or not. And they actually have a defender there for Logan, but he puts his head down and just says there's going to be a refusal to not get this first down. And so he does a great job of just, beating a guy that's there to try to make the play. And he wins that one-on-one battle. And that's the course of short yards for the course of the game. Sometimes you got to win your one-on-one battles, and he does.
When we come back, we'll have more on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time to wrap up this week's show. Coach, halfway through the season, you're 3-3. I imagine the next 6 games will reveal a lot about this team's character. What are you hoping that it will reveal?
Well, I want us to play to our ability. If we do that, we can play with any team that we have on the remainder of our schedule. That's the challenge, is that every week you have to bring your A game and you have to perform to the standard that you have. And so that will be our challenge. But, our focus right now is UNLV and making sure that we have a great week of preparation and ultimately we get another chance and go out there and go play against a great UNLV team. What's going to be the biggest key then as you get set for this team? I'm sure this team wants to perform really well at home. You have a chance here with UNLV coming in. What's the focus going to be over the course of the next 5 days? They've had some injuries. Their quarterback that started them off going 4-1 has been out the past 2 weeks, but I think he'll be back this week. And so the ability defensively to limit what they do offensively and prevent the explosive gains in our offense, we got to get in rhythm. We got to go back to being the offense that we know we can be and have that confidence and as coaches put these guys in positions to execute and to build on the momentum that I know we can have. Coach, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
All right, that does it for this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.